Hey YouTube, welcome back to a brand new video. As you know, Tomodachi Life was recently announced for the Nintendo Switch and is scheduled for release in 2026. As of the time of making this video, we only have the short reveal trailer to reference that introduces us to modern Miis and a brand new Tomodachi Life Island. There is already some serious hype surrounding this upcoming game, as the trailer alone has surpassed 1 million views on YouTube and has even broken social media records across Nintendo accounts as the most liked posts. With this in mind, there is no doubt this game is going to be enormous and wildly successful, given fans of the franchise have waited almost 12 years just for news on the next installment. Finally, that time has come, and the trailer for Tomodachi Life on Nintendo Switch has done a pretty good job at introducing us to a new world, including known Mii characters, familiar locations, old and new shops and facilities, and much more. But there are of course still plenty of questions left unanswered.
Did you want to talk?
Now, if we take a closer look at the overview of the Tomodachi Island we've been given, we can see I think 17 Miis walking around as the screen pans. A few of them are walking behind buildings and some have walked out of frame, but they are definitely there. We can also see at least 14 houses, or beach houses as I've been calling them, with no doubt a couple of others out of frame too. This has led many fans to believe that maybe there's a limit of around 20 Miis, but that seems like a significant downgrade compared to the original, which actually housed up to 100 Miis. So assuming Tomodachi Life on the Nintendo Switch will at least match its predecessor, where are they all going to live? Naturally, this raises questions such as, can we expand the island to add more houses? Can we upgrade the beach houses and give them a second story? Can we actually move the houses to a whole new area to make space for more? Well, if we study the Tomodachi Island a little more, there may be a couple of hints and clues as to what the answer may be. So let's take a look. Now, from this point onwards, everything we're going to be discussing about the new game is speculative and just for fun, and unless it's obvious from the Switch trailer itself, is essentially a theory at this point, so please bear that in mind. Now, in the original Tomodachi Life game, Miis lived in apartments, and this was essentially the center point of the game where the vast majority of the game played out. Here you typically play and help your Miis, watch their dreams, earn prizes, and simply admire the interiors of the apartments you've purchased for them. The apartments were an important location in the game. So important, in fact, that the apartment building includes 3 upgrades, upgrading every time a significant milestone was reached. For example, once 20 Mii residents moved in, the first upgrade expanded the apartments to house 48. Once 45 Mii residents moved in, the second upgrade expanded the apartments to house 72. Once 70 residents moved in, the third and final upgrade expanded the apartments to allow 100 Miis to move in. So it's hard to believe that Nintendo would reduce this limit for the Switch version and only allow for around 20 Miis to navigate and interact with each other around the Tomodachi Island when it already seems a much larger area. So the biggest question within the community right now for Tomodachi Life on the Nintendo Switch, based on everything we can see here, is where are these Miis all going to live? Well, I think it's a safe bet that each of the beach houses belong to Miis and will be their main residence. However, if we take a closer look at some of the buildings around the island, there may be a few clues as to how we handle an ever-growing Mii population, and some hidden details that suggest maybe there's more to the beach houses than we first thought. If we look closely at the roofs of the houses, you'll notice that each one has a tiny little handle on the very top, and I have no doubts this will play a significant role one way or another, but hold on to that thought. You may remember from the trailer analysis video, or the video where we break down every shop seen so far, that there's a new facility called Quick Build. The logo of this facility is a hand or a cursor that carries a building block, and at the time we speculated that this building may offer a landscaping service and the cursor may be used to physically manipulate the layout of the island, essentially allowing us to customize it. Of course, this is just a theory, but I think it's a good one. Anyway, having now spotted that each beach house has a little handle on the roof, it seems almost too obvious that the quick build cursor is somehow connected to these Mii homes, and I have a couple of theories. The first and most obvious is that we'll simply be able to use quick build to pick up these houses and relocate them elsewhere as we expand our island. Handles are for grabbing, right? This would not only allow us to customize the layout of the Tomodachi Island, but also make space for adding new homes and inviting more Miis, assuming we can. This makes the most sense to me.
How refreshing.
However, I couldn't help but think maybe the handle isn't for moving the houses around, maybe it's for extending the houses, pulling and building them up and creating a second floor. You'll have to excuse my dodgy photoshopping, but you get the idea. This could allow for Miis to live together if they can't already, and essentially double the amount of Miis that could live on the Tomodachi Island, essentially allowing us to develop our island from a village to a town. I have another theory, but first, there is some more evidence to support this. Interestingly, there is another super tiny detail that adds weight to this and supports the idea that we'll be able to extend the beach houses up, which just adds to the excitement, for me at least. If you look closely again, this time to the sides of the beach houses, there looks to be a small ladder on the outside of each one. They are difficult to see because they almost blend in with each house, but if you look at the houses to the right of the map in the lower corner, you can see them pretty clearly. That's definitely a ladder. But to where? Well, again, just speculating here, but it's possible that once we've used quick build to upgrade our beach houses and given them a second story, also known as a first floor here in England and a second floor in the US, that this is how the Miis will access the new floor. Also, looking at the map again, it's clear that these ladders are never obstructed and always face open space, which would be an important detail, allowing Miis the room they need to go about their day and climb them when they want to. Anyway, super interesting detail and is likely the answer to our question. However, there is one other possibility, and expanding these houses could go even further.
How refreshing.
If we once again consider the ladders, the quick build's cursor, and of course the handles, all whilst taking influence from previous installments, it's difficult not to imagine maybe these houses could be extended past a second story and could even be extended to, you guessed it, apartments, just like the original. Again, you'll have to excuse my photoshopping, but I could totally see us having the ability to extend each of these beach houses up further, adding new floors each time and eventually upgrading them to apartments. And especially if it turns out we can't expand our island, for example, and we only have say 20 homes but can invite 100 Miis, each house plot would need to house 5 Miis, and a small apartment block would certainly achieve that. I think this would actually be a super cute feature and then allow us to develop our islands further from a town to a city with little skyscrapers everywhere. Of course, this is all food for thought and very speculative to say the least, considering none of this is confirmed. That said, it's really fun to talk about, and hopefully when we get a new trailer, we'll get even more information about how many Miis we can invite and what else we can do with the island. After all, the map is looking very grid-like and potentially customizable, so I think this reveal trailer has barely scratched the surface of the amount of content this game will likely offer. So I don't think moving houses or upgrading them to apartments is out of the question.
Glad that was only a dream.
If you made it to this point in the video, be sure to post apartments in the comments just to let me know you did, and be sure to include what you think about these little ladders and little handles. Will 17 Miis be the limit? Will we be able to customize homes or upgrade them? Would you want cute skyscrapers? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much to the Patreon and channel members for supporting this content. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.